Good morning. I know y'all have had a great day just as I have, and we know that this is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. And I wanted to just talk with you about transition in ministry and how that can take place and how it can help you, each of us as ministers. You know, I have to realize that God does not get surprises, but He prepares all of us along those life journey experiences to be ready for those surprises that we might get or something that we did not have in our mind. My life verse has been Jeremiah 29:11, and we all know this. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call upon and will listen to me, and I will listen to you. I have stood on that verse for 37 and a half years as I have been in ministry. During those 37 and a half years, I have served 3 churches, with 2 of those being in the Metro Jackson area. I served 12 years as the minister to children at First Jackson, and then went to another church and served for 5.5 years. And during that year, I had 3 different responsibilities in 5.5 years. So there was lots of transition. We would say, well, let's see what our title is when we look on our nameplate when we come in this morning. But the transition was easy for those. But then I returned to First Jackson 10.5 years ago as Minister of Education, as I had served 8.5 years in my first church. But during those years, the past 5 years, we have had 4 primary pastors. We have had 2 transitional pastors and 2 senior pastors. So we have been very fortunate in saying that of those 5 years, up until about a year ago, we were all in the positions that we have been called to. Last year, Dr. Matt Brooks was called as our pastor. He is young, he is energetic, he is visionary. And as he came a year ago this month, he had a vision to have an assimilation ministry. 10 months ago, he asked me if I would consider transitioning to be the minister of assimilation. That was not on my radar, I'll have to tell you. And I asked him, and our executive pastor of ministries told him she's going to say she wants to process this and pray. And those were my words. I want to process and pray about this. So my husband and I began praying, and I began talking, and I began processing. What does God want me to do? During this time, I would go back and talk to Pastor Matt and just see what his vision was and what he wanted us to accomplish in this ministry. And through that, I saw that I felt I was maybe that fit for what he wanted to accomplish. But I also wanted to know that every time I put my head on the pillow at night, that I had prayed and I had accomplished God's will that day and not accomplished my will. So through that, we did do ministry different, but I also took a card and I wrote 3 words: anything, anytime, and anywhere at any cost. And I kept that card with me, and I dated the card, and I wrote ideas down and thoughts down about that. But I also sought wisdom from 3 individuals that I respect. They have high values, high work ethics, and a sense of God's calling to their lives. And all three of these individuals basically asked me the same three questions. And these are the questions that I would challenge you if you're ever given the opportunity to transition to another ministry within the church you serve. And those three questions were, is God calling you to this ministry? Do you feel your ministry is complete at First Jackson? And last but not least, do you still have joy in ministry? And one individual said, I've lost my joy, so I know what God is telling me. I prayed through these questions along with the three words, but I was also praying, God, you give me direction to what you want me to do. And I also had to realize I had to look into God's face in his eyes of love and whisper, wherever you lead, I will follow. And I also had to say, had I really truly been praying that prayer? And I wanted to make sure I did this. Through this, I also realized that I would be able to help Pastor Matt in casting the vision that he had for assimilation. Because I have an opportunity now to really connect with our first-time guests from the time they come on campus to our next step new member classes that we are developing, and then letting them have a spiritual assessment inventory so that everyone can be serving in the church. I thought I had an opportunity as being minister of education to connect with people, but I'm really seeing that I have more and more with that connection with people. And I love, if you didn't know, I do love people, and I love watching them grow in their spiritual walk and serving our Lord. Yes, we do have transitions, but we also have to look at it as a privilege when God opens a door for transition. You can either look at it as a negative opportunity of ministry, or you can look at it as a positive opportunity of ministry and seeing how God can melt you, mold you, and shape you to do something within the church you have been a part of. And with that, I can be able to help people grow in their spiritual walk, and I can continue to claim the verse, God, I know you have a plan for me. I know it's not to harm me, but it is to prosper and to use me, and that you will give me hope and a future to connect with people so that we can multiply disciples to live like Jesus. Thank you so much.